Hello and welcome to what I believe is episode 290 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown for week 3 of September 2022. It is the last show before Unforgiven, but that's got nothing to do with SmackDown, because that's a Raw branded pay-per-view. But SmackDown continues to build to Clash at the Castle, But tonight they've got a big show. The Tribal Chief is back. He's defending the WWE Championship in the main event against Ciampa. We also see the first defense of the Women's Liberty Championship when Shotsy Blackheart defends it against Toni Storm. And the United States Championship match between Warden and Bronson Reed of the Hurt Business. And I believe there was another match that I announced for today that I cannot remember. But it will be on the screen. Without any more further ado though, let's jump straight into the show. Also, you can probably notice on the bottom, not right this second because it still says Kairi, but the Cruiserweight and Liberty Champions have now been added to the rotating sidebar. I finally got around to doing that because I had to update the women's tag one after all. Anyway, cold open to SmackDown. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman arriving in the parking lot. Kayla greets them. She goes, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, welcome back to SmackDown, And Heyman goes, it's going to be a great night tonight, Kayla, because our Tribal Chief has graced us all with his presence, and he's coming to defend his WWE Championship against the number one contender, Ciampa. Now, Ciampa, of course, he's got a lot of history in NXT. He's a great hell of a competitor. Maybe one day a future WWE champion in his own right, but tonight he's stepping into the deep end against the greatest WWE champion, not just of the modern era, Kayla Braxton, no, the greatest WWE champion ever. And Ciampa, as good as he may well be, is not the one to dethrone the Tribal Chief. When Adam Pearce comes up to him, and they sort of just stare at Pearce, like you know exactly what's on the mind here, and tensions boil over. They sort of just stare at each other. And Heyman goes, is everything all good? And Pearce goes, we may need to talk about something. And then Pearce walks off, and Roman and Heyman just look at each other like, whoa, what's going on? We then cut to the ring, and we open with a match. An 80 rated match at that, which is really good. The first defense of the Liberty title. Toni Storm challenges the champion Shotsy Blackheart, and in 11:43 it is Shotsy, of course. It's a brand new belt. I'm not changing the belt right over straight away in the first defense. That would be silly. Shotsy retains. She beats Toni in 11:43 with the Fright Night. 80 for Toni, 70 for Shotsy, and yeah. This is going to sound weird to say, but hopefully that loss hurts Toni's pot to the point where she drops to well-known, because I can't put the Midcard title on her right now if she's a star, because I have that ruling. But I'm not ready to put her in the world title picture just yet. So, for now, she floats somewhere in the middle. But after the match, the Legal Coalition come out. And Regal goes, well, that is congratulations, Miss Blackheart. That was a very good victory of yours. Yes, it was. Toni Storm, hell of a competitor, a former NXT United Kingdom champion. But maybe in another universe, or perhaps even this one, I would be honoured to have her as part of the Regal Coalition, but that's not the problem here tonight. Shotsy, no it isn't. The problem is that you offered a shot to Miss Toni Storm here because you were scared of running away from the woman who deserves the championship more than Toni Storm, and that's Alba Fire. She came over to SmackDown full of fire, if you do pardon my pun. And she's proven, without a shadow of a doubt, that she belongs in the mix for the Liberty Championship. Shotsy, your days are numbered with that championship. Yes, they are. Because when you finally stop being a coward, and you show the balls that you so boldly claim you have, you would give Alba Fire the next shot at your Liberty Championship. And that will be your last defense. Quick House of Black promo. They're like, well, Elias, You ran away from the house. We must have left the back door open or something and you decided to run away like a lost little puppy, but that's fine. Because you shouldn't have announced yourself for a stupid competition on Raw. Because that led us straight to you and we knew where to find you. And as for your brother, quote, he puts the air quotes up, he's like, brother. Because, Elias, you were one of us. We put you in this house because we wanted your services. I can't say the same thing about your little baby brother. So if your little baby brother shows up, he will have the pain inflicted upon him that I want to inflict on you. So just do the right thing and come home. Because it's right for you, it's right for me, it's right for the house. And if you so are different human beings to your brother, it's the right thing for him to make the right choice, friend. $70 I will take for this tag team match, considering that only Bayley's worth a damn, really, in terms of popularity right now. But it is the rematch. Well, not rematch. I don't think they ever actually had a match, but they took him out. Double Trouble were taken out by Bayley and Cora a few weeks back, and Anne-Marie has been out with an injury ever since. But now they're back, and they're looking for their revenge on Bayley and Cora Jade. Of course, Bayley aligned with Dakota Kai recently, not Cora, but that leads to dysfunction, and Anne-Marie pins Cora with a roll-up to score the upset victory, I guess, for Double Trouble. 61 for Cora, 81 for Bayley, 51 for Kelsey, and a 59 for Anne-Marie. And obviously Bayley's not happy here. Cora's let her down yet again. So she gets in the ring and she snaps. She's like, what are you doing? Like, focus. Why are we losing to these bums? Like, they're rookies. Cora's like, well, I'm a rookie too. Like, you're rushing me straight into the deep end. Like, relax. And Bayley's like, no, this is how it's done. She jumps Anne-Marie from behind, like, lays her out, starts stomping on her. Kelsey tries to fight her off, but Dakota Kai runs out from the back, kicks Kelsey in the head, and now they're both down, and Bayley and Dakota are stomping away on them, on the floor. When Kairi runs out from the back with a steel chair or some kind or whatever, some kind of weapon, she starts taking it to Dakota and Bayley with the chair, but again she's outnumbered. That's when Utami runs out from the back to aid Kairi Sane, and she takes out the other women. Bayley and Dakota go stumbling to the outside. Dakota and Bayley sort of gesture to Cora, like, what are you going to do? You're just going to stand there and do nothing? Like, what are you doing? Either come with us or fucking attack them. And Cora just looks at Kairi and Utami and then looks back at Bayley and Dakota and then leaves the ring and reluctantly follows them. But very clear that she had no interest in saving them or attacking Kairi and Utami tonight, who have come to the aid of Anne-Marie and Kelsey. There's a lot of moving parts in this storyline here, but I like it because it helps get a lot of women on the show. Here's a segment. Timothy Thatcher. He's in like a training room. It's like hitting a heavy bag or whatever. He's like, that's how you do it, punch, punch, punch. Then in walk the Creed brothers. And Thatcher just turns to them and he's like, hey, Julius, Brutus, how you doing? And they go, well, I know that, Gable is not here anymore. Otis, I don't know what he's doing his thing. Maybe he'll pop up again somewhere. And Desmond, we don't know what he's doing either, but, you're our coach. You taught us what you know and what we know. So we're just here for another coaching lesson, like good students. Thatcher goes, oh, no. You see, there's a difference between us and you kids. Is that my style of wrestling, catch as Thatch can wrestling, isn't a style of wrestling for you. You're amateurs. And that's not a bad thing. I'm saying you're amateurs. I'm saying that's your style of wrestling is amateur wrestling. Whereas me, I'm looking for winners. I'm looking for fighters. I'm looking for technicians, catch can style wrestlers. So you two, as clients of the Thatcher's Thatch Can School, are no longer required, because I've got two brilliant stars that together we can cause mayhem on SmackDown. And then in walk Drew Gulak and Oney Lorcan. And they stand behind Thatcher and they go, Julius is like, well, if you've got no interest in, moulding us into your image, perhaps we use our own image and our own style to smack your two friends here about later on tonight. Thatcher goes, good, great warm-up for Oni and Drew. So yeah, Thatcher, Oni and Drew Gulak, new shooter, catch wrestling faction. Seemed like a good idea. I thought it'd be fun. Because Gulak and Oni have floated, I need another heel tag team on SmackDown. I thought, yeah, sure, No nonsense. No more comedy, basically. No more PowerPoint Drew Gulak. No more kick-ass throw-em-up Oni Lorcan. Just 3 technical beasts, I guess. I know what you're thinking. And I agree, yes. Taking away the comedy elements and making them just straight-up wrestlers. Not a very Connell TEW thing to do, I'm aware. But, this time I thought it would actually work. Like, I don't want to overdo the, I am a good wrestler, that is my gimmick, people, but I do think having a group of, this is your group of wrestlers is fun, and, that's what this is, Oni, Drew, and Thatcher. All very old school. And they're fighting the Creed Brothers later on tonight, because I thought Creed Brothers as Thatcher's students didn't really fit as well as they did it with Alpha Academy as a thing, but don't worry about, obviously I've got plans for the Creeds because they're great. So, it's fine. Speaking of great, Miz TV, depending on who you talk to, can either be considered great or not very great. But to Miz and Grayson Waller, it is the most must-see WWE talk show in history. Welcome to Miz TV. And the Miz goes, well, isn't there a lot on my mind right now, because last week, Grayson Waller here, the future A-list megastar, once my days in WWE are long behind me, lost to that bum LA Knight. Now, a lot of people have called Grayson Waller Mini-Miz, They talk about him like they talked about me all those years ago. But in reality, there's only one knock of Miz on this roster, and it's not him, it's LA Knight himself. He comes in there with these catchphrases, with these promos, with this talk show. He's another Mini-Miz. I appreciate being so influential that so many of these future generations of wrestlers want to be just like me. But you can't, because there's only one Miz. And that's right, baby. I'm not trying to be just like the Miz, I'm using the Miz, to get me my experience I need on this show. But once obviously I'm ready to spread my own wings around, Grayson Waller, baby, he's going to take over Raw, Miz will take over SmackDown, and we're going to do things together. LA Knight interrupts, he's like, let me talk to you. You come out here, you call yourself the most must-see man in WWE. Nana! There's only one most must-see man in WWE history, and that is LA Knight. Yeah. You see, you can come out there all you want, in your fancy suits, your fancy talk show, and try and put on this big man act, and act like you're a big megastar, but I just do that shit when I wake up every day, and I feel like $1 million goddamn bucks. And there is another key difference between yourself and myself, The Miz. I came in here, chip on my shoulder, looking to make a name for myself, and once I made that name for myself, I realized there's only one way to really become a megastar here in this company, and that's not by talking down to the people that got you there. It's by letting them build you up. Yeah. So, are we going to sit here, and we're going to keep yapping and yapping? Or are you going to take yourself and your little player 2 here and get your own ass out of LA Knight's ring? Yeah? And Grayson Waller takes somebody like, player 2? Who are you calling player 2? I'm player 1. I'm the protagonist of my own story, mate. Now, last week, you got lucky. You scored a fluke win over Grayson Waller. Well, let me know. That ain't going to be a thing if you want to get involved with Grayson Waller again. You hear me? Now get out of our ring, and we can leave this be. And the Miz is like, you talk a big game for somebody who's outnumbered right now. And there's really nothing stopping myself and Grayson Waller from beating your ass and making sure you can't walk out to LA Knight's ring ever again. But you know what? We're going to humour you. If you're as popular and such a megastar as you say you are, everyone would love to get the LA Knight rub. So, you can go back there and find yourself a friend and meet me and my friend in the ring here on SmackDown in a tag team match next week. And then I was like, well, I thought you'd never ask, Miz. Because you see, LA Knight don't need many friends back there, because he only needs is himself. But if there's people that want to rub shoulders with a megastar like LA Knight, it shouldn't be hard to find anybody, and they're going to whoop you two dummies' ass. Yeah! So, tag team match announced for next week. The Miz and Grayson Waller against LA Knight and their friend. AT-rated match for the United States Championship. Warden continues to mow down the competition, this time against Bronson Reed in 12-22. Big powerbomb makes defense number 2 of the US title. 81 for Warden, 74 for Big Ronnie Reed. And Warden again stands tall. And MVP gets on the mic, he's like, well, I have to say, I did kind of underestimate you, kid. You know, in a different world, a different timeline, yourself, you'd make a fine addition to the Hurt Business. But looking at you, I'm not sure you really need our help at this moment in time. But you will need protection, because you beat primetime Ronnie Hughes, you beat the colossal Bronson Reed, but there's still one member of the Hurt Business standing in this ring that you're yet to go toe-to-toe with in that ring for that United States Championship. So, Warden. Then Ricochet's music hits and he comes out. And he goes, I'm sorry to interrupt, Bronny, great match. You almost had him. I was pulling for you backstage, my guy, but, you just came up short, and that's really heartbreaking to see. But anyway, I think there certainly is somebody on this roster that Warden has not faced off with for that US title yet. And don't get me wrong, P, you're spitting facts, Ronnie Hughes and Bronson Reed, great tests. But it was you, I believe, a few weeks ago told me to really test myself if I were to, get this tag team of Bronson Reed back going again together. And what better way to test myself than by trying to be the first man in WWE to pin Warden, and doing it for the United States Championship. So, Warden, how about next week you and I challenge face off for the United States Championship? And MVP sort of gives him a disgusted look. He's like, Ricochet. It's like, what? He goes, shut your dumb ass up. Nobody wanted you out here. I was in the middle of making a big money match. Warden taking on the almighty Bobby Lashley. And you came out here with your little bald head talking about how you think you deserve the next shot. Get your dumb ass out of my ring. And then Lashley takes the microphone off MVP and he goes, I've just got an idea. How about Ricochet? You, next week, can go one-on-one with Warden for the United States Championship. And MVP's like, what are you saying, almighty Bobby Lashley? And he goes, and whoever wins that match, I'll see you in Cardiff 2 weeks later. Lashley slams the microphone down and walks out. Big stakes. Ricochet looking to try and make a name for himself so he can try and get the approval of Bronson Reed and MVP, I guess. Lashley looming with a US title opportunity because I guess he's just Bobby Lashley, so he just gets one because he is the top guy on SmackDown's Babyface column right now. So yeah, Warden and Ricochet next week for the US title. Winner goes to Clash at the Castle October week 2 to face Bobby for the US title. We then get a pre-tape video of, it's at the top of the Alpha Tower, It's David and VLA at a table in the Eiffel Tower, sipping on some French wine. And then he turns to the camera, he goes, Bonjour, I know what you're thinking. Why is David Maton and Violet Maton not antagonizing Le Bleu Brand and Monsieur Pierce about the arrival of their cousins in La French Connection? And I will tell you why. Because we finally got the arrangement that our cousins, Le French Connection, will debut on the Bleu brand next week. So, myself, David Maton, and my sister, Violette Maton, partaking back in our own home ground of Paris to engage in a nice French celebration before the whole landscape of Le Bleu brand changes in just Sept. I think Sept is 7, isn't it? Yes. Oh, come on, Connor. You got a fucking A in GCSE French. You should know this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Sept. Sept days. Au revoir. So finally it's happening. Le French Connection. They're cousins. They're not also called Martin. They've got different surnames, I guess. It's their dad's sister or something. But actually, no, there could be any kind of connection because it's wrestling, you know. The Usos in real life have a brother whose last name is not Uso. So, like, who cares? But yes, Le French Connection coming next week. 70, that's fine for, you know, reintroducing Oni and Drew and the Creeds, who are still not very popular. Oh, and Oni and Thatcher have great chemistry, that's good. The team has neutral chem, but the management has good chem. Oni and Gulak, though, they defeat the Creeds. Gulak, I guess, pins Julius Creed. Actually, I was going to say I want it to be a submission, but I probably wouldn't want a Creed brother tapping out, so I guess an underhanded pin is fine. Only you have a 74, a 76 for Drew Gulak, a 55 for Julius Creed, and a 53 for Brutus Creed. Just a loose end that he had tying up with Thatcher and the Creeds, you know, and a good way to establish these two as a new tag team here on SmackDown. If you want to name the individual unit, you can, but like I'm probably going to go with Thatcher's Thatch Can as the stable name or whatever, something like that, because I think I've teased something before, but Timothy Thatcher is in the middle of a weight change right now. He's currently a middleweight and he can drop to a lightweight, so when he does that, he'll be able to be on Velocity. So that's the long-term goal, I guess, is to have the wrestlers dominate the high flyers on Velocity, as well as the SmackDown brand, but as of right now, he's not officially a cruiserweight, so he just gonna have to coach everybody else, like he was doing in Alpha Academy. Backstage segment. Cora, she's like, look, I'm sorry, like, I don't know what happened out there. And Bayley goes, I do. You lost. You let 2 rookies beat you. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. Because I don't care about you, okay? You're a rookie as well, like you said. You let those 2 rookies beat me. Okay, in the record books. Kelsey Cook, Anne-Marie Paul. Who are these people? They have a win over me now, and it's all your fault. Now you see why you and your soppy way of doing things around here isn't going to cut it. Now, look. You were an irritant to me for so long. But I found it kind of endearing. And I gave you the chance, but if you're going to keep blowing these chances, I don't even want you with us anymore. Go home. Go. And Cora looks back, she's like, she's kind of like, you can tell she's kind of upset that she blew her chance to be Bayley's friend, but also kind of relieved because Bayley's been a bit evil to her recently. But it's still a very conflicting emotion because Cora really thought they had something here, and now Bayley's kicked her out for Dakota. And then Dakota turns to the camera and she goes, and for you, Utami, you know, you want to be the hero, you know, save Kairi from this 2-on-1 vicious beatdown. Let me tell you, we've still got plenty more damage we need to do around here. And if you want to get involved in our grill, I'll see you next week, hun. So big women's match next week. Utami taking on Dakota Kai. Speaking of next week, it is a pretty stacked show, you know. You start off, as we have pretty much all weeks recently, with a United States title match. Warden defends the United States Championship, this time against Ricochet. But there is further stipulations on that, because the winner of that match will go to Cardiff, Wales on October week 2 to defend the championship against the almighty Bobby Lashley. Also, next week we have The Miz and Grayson Waller, Player 1 and Player 2, as LA Knight called them, in a tag team match against LA Knight himself, and a friend if he can find one. If not, I'm sure the $1 Million Megastar will have no problems going at it alone. We then have, as we just heard, former SmackDown Women's Champion Dakota Kai steps into the ring with Utami Hayashishita after she came to save the day from Kairi's attack from Bayley and Dakota earlier on tonight. At last, but certainly not least, David and Violet Martin introduce the newest tag team here on SmackDown, Le French Connection. We then see Ciampa in Gorilla with Gargano and Candice ahead of the title match. And Johnny goes, Tommaso, this is it, I had a shot at Roman back in December. I couldn't quite get the job done. But I believe in you. We've been through hell and back together. Sometimes we're friends, sometimes we're enemies. I don't know how long this friendship between me and you right now is going to last, because, quite frankly, based on history, it could explode any day now. But while we're on good terms and we're tag team champions together, I will tell you that I'm pulling for you. Go get him, Tommaso. Ciampa's like, I appreciate that, Johnny. I really do. And then Johnny and Candice leave. And then Ciampa's still warming up. And then we hear big thud from the outside Gorilla. And Candice screaming. And then we run out. Follow the camera out. Ciampa goes to check. Johnny's been attacked. Somebody's left Johnny Gargano laying out. And then Candice is like, go, we need to go find the doctor. And then Tommaso turns around. And then Candice is like, oh, look out. And then some guy in a hood swings a pipe at Ciampa. And he luckily ducks out of the way. And then he tries to fight this hooded person off, and Candice's like, no, you've got a title match. Go win the title match. Ciampa goes, I will, but I'm coming for that guy afterwards. So some last minute distractions for Ciampa. And a 93. I really thought putting Tommaso in here was a risk, because he's not that popular. And I think he's on, the very start of Time Decline. But he took advantage of his spot here tonight. He got 93 rated match. Obviously, Roman Reigns wins. I haven't even covered this up. Ciampa's not the WWE champion. The only way he would have been is if the game called an audible. But, he came close, and he made the fans believe. And Ciampa's a made man after tonight. 78 for Ciampa, 95 for Roman. They have great chemistry. I can believe that. I reckon this would be really good in real life as well. Yeah. But Ciampa's been left laying by the tribal chief, the WWE champion, holds his WWE title up in the air when the hooded figure from before slides into the ring behind Roman Reigns and attacks him from behind with a pipe. And of course he pulls the hood down. Who else? Seth freaking Rollins. He attacks Roman with the pipe, and then as Ciampa starts to get to his knees, he gets curb stomped 3 times. And then security tries to pull Seth out. He grabs the pipe, starts attacking the security guards as well. He grabs the mic, he's like, Pierce! Pierce! And then Pierce comes out on the stage, and he goes, what, Seth? And he goes, I told you, this doesn't end until I get what I want. And at this point, Roman sort of rolled out from under the ring and is standing on the ramp near Pierce with Heyman, and Ciampa just keeps getting attacked as do the security guards. And Seth is causing chaos. He's probably ripping the ring up as well. And Pierce goes, Seth, look, I can't do. And Seth goes, think about your show, Adam. Think about your show. And he goes, but I know what you want, but a contract is a contract. A rule is a rule. I can't go back on a rule. And Seth's like, can't? or won't. And then he like puts the chair around Ciampa's neck, and obviously we know Ciampa's had the neck problems. And we're all like, oh fuck. And then Roman takes the mic off Pierce, and he goes, "You need to stop addressing Pierce, Seth. Ever since SummerSlam. I know why you did what you did at SummerSlam. I'm not dumb. Seth, I know why you did what you did to Daniel Bryan, and why you tried to run down Pierce here, and why you did what you just did to Johnny Gargano, and what you're doing right now to Ciampa. I see through you, man. Me and you, how long have we known each other? I know what you're up to. I know what your plan is. And I know exactly what it is. What you want, not from Pierce. What you want from me. And I'm a good tribal chief, Seth. I'm a good man. I'm a good champion. So, let's lay some laws down around here on the Tribal Chief show. You don't get to show up suspended and wreck the Tribal Chief show. Because this is my show. Not your show. Could have been your show. But you lost at the Royal Rumble, Seth. And when you lost at the Royal Rumble, Seth, I told you you were never getting another match for my WWE Championship ever again. And then ever since that day, all you've done is try and weasel Money in the Bank wins, backdoor through King of the Ring, and get all these other means of trying to get another match, another shot, a crack on the island of relevancy. And now you've resorted to this. None of those other plans work. It drove you mad. Look at you. This is your new plan. Is to destroy the Tribal Chief show to the point where he feels like he has to give you a shot. Now let me tell you something, Seth. I don't have to give you a damn thing. But I'm going to. Because I'm a good Tribal Chief who looks after not only my family, my table, but my show. So, Seth freaking Rollins, you want your suspension lifted. You want a shot at the Tribal Chief and the WWE Championship one final time. Cardiff, October week 2, Principality Stadium, Clash at the Castle. I'll rescind our rule. You can have one last shot at the Tribal Chief at the WWE Championship. But if I win, not only do you never get another shot at the championship, Seth Rollins, you're gone. You're gone from WWE. You're gone from SmackDown. And this era of you destroying and tarnishing the legacy of my show dies. And Seth grabs the mic. He's like, ha 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 ha. Oh, look at you, Roman. I knew you were too proud. You give off the appearance of somebody so confident. But little do you know, you've just signed the championship over to me. See you in Cardiff, buddy. There we go. Big main event set for Clash at the Castle. Seth has gone crazy. He knows what he wants. And he's getting it. Clash at the Castle, Roman Reigns and Seth freaking Rollins. WWE Championship. If Seth Rollins loses, he's gone from WWE. 90 rated show. Great show. You know, big ending, banger main event, and a couple of other little bits in there. I really liked the stuff with Bayley and Cora this week. Among other things, I like the debut of the Oni Gulak Thatcher group. And yeah, we continued chugging along towards, like, SmackDown was sort of like, it was treading water for a little bit because it didn't have a pay-per-view, but now we're a stone's throw away from Cardiff, so we can actually start building towards that show. And speaking of shows, I guess that's the best segue I've got to Velocity, which will be the go-home show before Unforgiven. I would imagine that Ray and Garza won't be on because, like, in reality, they'd probably already have travelled to wherever Unforgiven is. But yeah, they are featured on the pay-per-view, that's why I mentioned it. Velocity kicks off with a interesting tag team match. Just two cruiserweights I had floating about, Reggie and Jiro, are going to be in a tag team tonight against the infamous era of Undisputed, that being Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong. Obviously, it's these two to pick up the win. Bobby apparently pins Jiro with the running single leg high knee strike. 73 for Roddy, 59 for Fish, 34 for Jiro, and a 44 for Sir Reginald. I don't know why, I thought that team would be fun. Like, Jacket Man, Flip Man. Like, Jiro he's sort of like been floating since the big mattress match. I need him to beat the mattress man, but now I'm still looking to find another role for him. Obviously, he's got the jackets thing, which is fun by itself, but, like, maybe give him a little bit something else. A good little fucking 6-man tag here. 3 stars from NXT Japan, being Yosuke Akatsuka, Kushida, and Kota Sekafuda, lose to the Legado de la Sombra trio of Joaquin, Metalik, and Cruz del Toro. Metalik pins Kota Sekafuda with a Metalik driver. Sekafuda is the weak link, he gets a 48. 59 for Yosuke, 72 for Kushida, 72 for Joaquin, 73 for Cruz, and Metalik leading the way with an 80. Another trios match here, you know? Weird, what is RJ cooking? Speaking of fucking banger matches, you know, we have... Velocity has already become, you know... When I made Velocity, I was like, oh, this is going to be, you know, the wrestling show, while he is like the storyline show. What Velocity has become is NXT 2.0, basically, because you've got the good wrestling section, but then you've got people with the silly gimmicks. You've got the pirate R.E. Sterling, who's actually in the main event tonight. You've got the Lady Killers. You've got the Stoners. You've got Young Sensei, and now we have Andrew Everett, Andrew the Giant. You know, he's a 7'4" cruiserweight. Wrap your head around that one. But Sensei beats him in 9:36 with the Gomu Gomu no Boomerang. Sensei picking up a lot of wins, you know, because they haven't really been wrestling. So I thought, gonna start having them wrestle on Velocity a little bit more. Like, maybe that could be a title they could eventually challenge for. You know, Young Sensei versus Rey Mysterio. Who says no? And then a banger 74 rated main event. Wes Lee of MSK, the Stoner Group, defeats R.E. Sterling in 14-12 by pinfall. 74 for Wes Lee, 65 for R.E. And that ends Velocity. And the show gets a 73. SmackDown got 90, I think. Probably has more than both those ratings, is what you thought of the shows. So do let me know what you thought in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for Unforgiven, the first pay-per-view of Season 6. Feels like it's been going on for so long, but we're finally here. The errors of, you know, being busy, making plans, and everything else. But yes, see you then for Unforgiven.